What is up, guys? So this weekend, I made over $40,000 sports betting. I made $33,000 on the NFL. It was a ridiculous day. I'm literally recording this video on Monday morning. And then I made $7,000 on college football on Saturday, up over 40K this month. Insane month in October. But I want to be clear about a couple things. First of all, not every weekend is like this. I'm not selling you picks. There's nothing like that. You can see literally in June, I lost money. Like the entire month, I lost money. So the betting strategies that I personally use do have some variance. There is some ups and downs. So obviously this weekend, I definitely ran hot for a bit. For example, I had the Dolphins on the spread. It did not look like the Dolphins were going to cover the +4 spread, but they ended up coming back after being down by like a couple touchdowns. But the point of this video is to be educational, right? I want to run through my betting process. I want to show you how I'm getting these results. I'm obviously not going to be able to recap every bet. I placed 340 bets over the course of the weekend. And a lot of people will be like, that doesn't make sense. Why are you placing so many bets? But the truth is that is how every sharp professional sports bettor is betting. So I started my career as a quantitative trader on Wall Street at Susquehanna, and I would place tens of thousands of trades every single day, right? Most of it is algorithmic, but the point is every trade has a small edge. You'll make money on some, you'll lose money on other trades, but if you have an edge, you're going to win long term. And it's the same thing as a sports bettor. Like there's no locks, there's no guaranteed wins. So as a sports bettor, because most of these books have, max betting limits, and a lot of these sports books I have very low betting limits on. Like you can see on Dabble, they only let me bet like $9 on every slip. So because all these books have different max betting limits, if you want to maximize profits, you actually need to be placing a lot of bets, a large sample size of wagers. You need to be using multiple sports books as a sharp gambler. And the reason for that is all these books set their own unique odds. Every book wants to be unique. So for example, if you want to be on the Falcons and you have access to Fliff, then you should be betting them at +190 on Fliff. You can't be placing bets at +165. Circa has the Falcons at +165. You can't be placing bets at +165 if there's another book in your state offering +190. So line shopping, making sure every bet you lock in, you are getting the best possible odds. I mean, that is sports betting 101. So I'm going to be showing you plays on a wide variety of sports books. So let's get into the first play I locked in and made $6,000 on, which was DraftKings Pick Six. Okay, so DraftKings Pick Six is actually technically a fantasy site. So there's 6 main fantasy sites I use. They're not technically sports books, they're fantasy sites. So Prize Picks, Underdog Fantasy, Dabble Fantasy, Better Picks, which is Jake Paul's app, Owner's Box, and DraftKings Pick Six. Those are the 6 main DFS apps I use. And the way that these books work is they have fixed payouts. So on most of these platforms, not Better, they actually only give you a 5x payout for 3-pick entries. But on most of these platforms, they give you a 6x payout for any 3-pick entry. So it doesn't matter if you take, on Prize Picks, if you take soccer picks, WNBA, tennis, football, baseball, it doesn't matter. 3 picks, over, unders, whatever. You're getting a 6x payout. So these are fixed payout books. So if you go through the math of a 3-pick entry, a 6x payout means they're essentially giving you -122 odds for any play you put in your slip. Right? So anything you play, you should just assume you're getting -122 odds. So that's a fair amount of juice, -122, -122. If you think about it, like most point spreads or totals for NFL games, you're used to seeing -110, -110. So it's not a small amount of juice, but you can still make some good profits on these platforms. So for example, in my slip, I ran Stafford under in passing completions. Okay, so I played this on DraftKings Pick Six. I thought it was a super sharp pick with an edge. So I found this play on the OddsJam Sharp Money tool. So what you're gonna see is Novig and ProfitX, which are 2 betting exchanges. Okay, so they had Stafford's over listed at plus 124 odds with a lot of liquidity. I mean, there were thousands of dollars in liquidity, like $2,000 or something like that, was listed on his over at plus 124. So essentially, the way these peer-to-peer betting exchanges work is they typically have trading firms, market makers, setting lines or offering liquidity. So they're actually really sharp books once they get liquid. So basically, if Stafford's over is listed at plus 124, right, his over is the underdog outcome. It's plus 124, it's underdog odds. Betting 100 to win 124. So his under is the more likely outcome, right? That's the sharp pick you want to be on. And again, on DraftKings Pick Six, if you take Stafford to go over or under in completions, you are getting the same payout regardless. So we want to be on Stafford's under because that's the more likely outcome. Again, I'm not placing these plays with my gut. I'm not just betting random things with my gut. This is all data, right? If Stafford's over is listed at plus 124, that means, you know, the trading firms, essentially, if they're offering his over at plus 124, they're trying to bet his under at minus 124. And again, on DraftKings Pick Six, for a 3-pick entry, you're getting minus 122 odds. And again, there's an easier way to think about it. I'll give you another example because we hit a few different prize pick slips. Is I was on Leonard Williams over 3.5 tackles plus assists, kind of random market, right? Tackles plus assists. Everyone thinks about passing yards, receiving yards. But again, I follow the value, and sometimes the best value is in these more niche markets like defensive props. So if you look on ProfitX, they were offering his under 3.5 tackles plus assists at plus 150, right? So a trading firm is offering, a really sharp trading firm is saying, hey, I'll let you bet his under at plus 150 because I want to be filled on his over at minus 150. So the over is the much more likely outcome. So I locked this in. This was another play from the OddsJam Sharp Money tool, which shows you cross-market EV bets. And obviously, again, not every bet won. You know, out of my 340 bets, a lot of them lost. But the point is when you have an edge, you're supposed to win long-term. So it's very simple. All that matters when you're placing a bet is it positive ROI or plus EV or negative ROI or negative EV. If the bet is plus EV, you want to place it. If it's negative EV, you don't want to place it. So one thing I wanted to mention is you can see all my bets. They're tracked on a verified bet tracker, public bet tracker called Pick Sports. So you can literally just follow me there to see all my plays. Again, I give out plays in different places, basically all for free. You know, on Twitter, I give out a ton of plays, but also mainly on live stream. On Twitch, I'll hop on. Sometimes I'm streaming for hours every single day, so I'm not gonna be able to like recap every single bet that I go with. You can see them on Pickit, or you can join the live stream. But I had a crazy, literally insane weekend, mainly on just straight up point spreads, mainline markets with cross market plus EV betting. So cross market plus EV betting, in my opinion, it's the main strategy you should be using, and it is the most profitable betting strategy. And what's so amazing about it is you just have an extremely high confidence in your edge. But this is the best betting strategy. I've done YouTube tutorials on it. You can see one here. We'll link to it, add a card, the video. If you want to watch a full-length tutorial, because I don't want to waste 5 hours explaining it, you can watch a full-length YouTube tutorial on cross-market EV betting. But basically, out of the millions of odds across sports books, right, sometimes two books get so out of sync where you could bet on equal and opposite outcomes to guarantee a risk-free profit. So that's called arbitrage betting. And there's a lot of people who just arbitrage bet. You'll see OddsJam customers who literally every single day, they're just placing these arbitrage bets, betting the over on one book, the under on a different book to guarantee a risk-free profit. So it's a great strategy. I actually started with arbitrage, but it's related to cross-market EV. So basically, whenever there's arbitrage, right, you can bet equal and opposite outcomes on two books to ensure a profit. You know that one side of the arbitrage opportunity has to be a profitable bet or a plus EV bet, right? If you can place the over on one book, the under on a different book, and make a guaranteed profit, one of those two bets is profitable. One of those two plays. So basically, you have a super high confidence in your edge when you're cross-market EV betting. You know, okay, well, one of these two plays is profitable. I just have to determine which play is actually good. So I'll show you an example. Is this weekend, I gave this out, was Jets plus 7.5 at minus 115. ProfitX, an extremely sharp book. It's a betting exchange. Again, that's where the trading firms are setting the odds, right? They're offering the liquidity. So ProfitX had the Broncos minus 7.5 at plus 117. So this is arbitrage. You can't have plus 117 on the Broncos spread, minus 115 on the Jets spread. Because again, you could just bet both outcomes. I could bet the Jets spread on rebet. On ProfitX, I could bet the Broncos spread, and I could make a small little risk-free profit. So I have 100% confidence that one of these two bets is profitable. So typically what I do is I check out other sports books that are smart or sharp, like Pinnacle and Circa. I see where they're setting lines just to kind of be extra sure that the values on rebet, which in this case, that's what I ran, was Jets plus 7.5. But whenever a soft, easily beatable book, rebet is a soft, easily beatable book, is arbitrage or crossed with a hard book, a sharp book, a smart book like ProfitX, like 99% of the time, the value is going to be on the soft book side. So here, rebet, a soft, easily beatable book, is arbitrage with ProfitX, a sharp book. I know one of the two bets has to be profitable, so I'm already 98% confident that the value or the plus EV bet is on the rebet side, but then I can check other sports books like Pinnacle to kind of confirm, is the value actually on the rebet side, which in this case it was. But one thing that's pretty interesting is because rebet was offering so much value on the Jets, they were offering too much value on the Jets. I hammered the Jets. I had like 5K on the Jets spread. They over adjusted and brought the value onto Broncos money line. So then I bet Broncos money line, which was a crossed market, a couple hours later, because they over adjusted. They probably got hammered on the Jets spread. So I had two bets on this game, right? On the early morning, 9:30 a.m. or whatever it is, NFL game. I had Jets plus 7.5, Broncos money line. Broncos won by 2. I won both bets, right? It doesn't always work that way, but it did in this scenario. So some people will say, how does that make sense? How do you have a bet on the Broncos and the Jets? Again, it doesn't matter. All that matters when you are placing a bet is it plus EV? Does it have a positive ROI? Is it a crossed market with a sharp book like Circa or ProfitX or Novig? That's all that matters. So here's another example. I locked in Dolphins plus 4, minus 110. ProfitX, high liquidity, $15,000. Had the Chargers minus 4 at plus 114. Crossed market, that's arbitrage. You could bet Chargers minus 4 on ProfitX. You could bet Dolphins plus 4 on rebet at minus 110. Make a risk-free profit. One of the two bets has to be profitable. Rebet is a soft book. ProfitX is a very sharp book. I checked the other sports books like Pinnacle and Circa, and it's like, yeah, it's very clear the value's on rebet, so I absolutely hammered the Dolphins. Basically every spread, long story short, I had a huge position, especially on FanDuel, on the Panthers plus 3.5. It looked shaky at points. Panthers ended up winning. So I made like 15K on the Panthers alone. I had that on rebet. I also had it on FanDuel. I also had it on Flip. So I had it on like 3 different sports books, lines steamed towards the Panthers on these sharp betting exchanges. So I picked off all these softer books like FanDuel, rebet, Flip. But anyways, that's kind of overall spread bets plus these fantasy sites, DraftKings Pick Six. That's how I made most of my money this weekend. If you have any questions, comment them below. I love helping new sports bettors kind of learn how to beat the sports books. So however I can be helpful, let me know, and have a great rest of your day, guys.